Welcome back to Green is Good, and we're so excited and honored to have with us today Ben Lecomte. He's the open water swimmer. He's an adventurer. He's also the founder of The Longest Swim, because Ben is going to tell you one of the greatest stories ever. Welcome to Green is Good, Ben Lecomte.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Very exciting.
Hey, you know, Ben, you are one of the most fascinating human beings that have ever been on our show. This show is 5 years old. We've had wonderful people from around the world, but truly your story, when I was reading every word of it, had my eyes as big as silver dollars and my mouth open, because I'm just so in awe of your accomplishments already, and also some of your dreams of what you are going to accomplish. Before we go into talking about The Longest Swim, I want you to please share with our listeners the Ben Lecomte story, what you've done before, what led to this moment in your life, and what you're about to do, and talk a little bit about your story and your journey up until this point.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for your kind words there. I was raised and born in France, and my father was very much involved in my life, and I had the opportunity to have parents that exposed me to many things, the environment, different type of sports, and basically a way to find myself. It was to go through all these different sports, all different activities that I was involved in. And my father taught me how to swim in the Atlantic when I was 5 years old. Unfortunately, my father passed away at an early age from a cancer. For me, that was a very, important moment, but in my life as a young man, because it gave me the opportunities and the strength to follow my passion, which was open water swimming, adventure swimming, and I wanted to do something in his memory. So as I was contemplating about swimming open waters and doing a swim across the Atlantic Ocean, my big focus and objective was to do it in his name and to raise money and to raise awareness for cancer research. So that was my big motivation to do that at the time. And then after, when finishing the swim and going back to a normal life, I always knew that my passion was still there, but I became a father. So now that I have children, and being influenced by everything that happened around me, I still have that passion of doing a big swim, which will be becoming the longest swim in the Pacific. But the objective changed a little. I'm looking at my kids. I'm looking at what I can do to make a positive impact in their life and in their future. And reliving those moments that I have with my father, I know that the environment was very important in all the activities that we had, and I want to give my kids the same opportunity that I had by making a little difference or using my passion as a way to make a little difference in the environment and creating a more sustainable world. So that's basically my main objective now with my upcoming swim is to get the attention around that issue.
So it's about sustainability.
Exactly. I think that the solution is in our hands. And what I mean by that is that if all the individuals here in the U.S. and overseas, if we were all a little bit more conscious of what the problem and making little changes in our life, we will make an amazing impact on the sustainability and environment.
Before we talk about the longest swim coming up, just quickly give a brief overview, because I want our listeners to be truly amazed by your strength, not only your physical aptitude, but your mental strength, that you swam from Cape Cod to France. You did the Atlantic swim. And what year was this in?
In 98.
In 98. So now, for all of us, age is not in our favor when you're doing, superhuman feats. So this is now 16 years or so later, and now you're going to do a feat that's much greater than the Atlantic swim.
Right. Yeah. And in some aspect, age is not in our favor when you talk about speed or when you talk about strength. But when you talk about extreme endurance, you can become better as you age. And not only that, is that mind and strength is much more important because it's mind over matter. Once your body is used to do something at a slow rate, you can do it days after day, but you need to have a very strong mind to keep on doing it. And I know that when we are young, we are just about instant gratification, but that changes as you get older. So I found out that getting older works on my favor here.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're really just breaking your last record. You're breaking the Atlantic record by now doing the longer swim across the Pacific.
Yeah, that will be much longer. And so it's a bigger preparation. And for me, it's just a way to get the attention. Of course, on a personal level, it's something that I like to do. It's something that I'm passionate about. But without a greater purpose, it wouldn't mean that much.
Two quick fun stories about the first swim. When you finished the first swim back in '98, what were your first words when you landed in France?
It was never again.
Well, I'm thankful, and the environmental world is thankful, and all of us are thankful that you've decided you're going to do it again, because I know you're going to raise major awareness by doing this Pacific swim. I think when people start hearing about it, they're going to be as amazed, and our listeners today are as amazed as I am when I started learning more about what you've accomplished and what you intend to accomplish. And then I saw a picture of you on your knees, and it wasn't because you were weak or because you collapsed. Talk about when you got to France, why you were on your knees.
Well, I proposed to my wife. Wow. I thought that was the appropriate time, and so we have something very unusual, which is, video clips and news article of me proposing to her.
Wow. I'll tell you what, even in all of that exhaustion and all of your, in the middle of doing one of the greatest accomplishments anyone could ever do, you still had the thoughtfulness and the romantic spirit to do something super, super nice. For all the men out there that are listening today, remember, you can't be too romantic and you can't do things in too nice of a way. But wow, what a way to propose to your wife, huh?
Well, to be truthful, I asked her when I left, and she was very smart into telling me, well, I give you my answer on the other side.
So she really gave you no choice but to make the right proposition at the right time.
Exactly.
Well, good. That was a good reason to make sure you made it across the other side. That's great. That is just great. So talk a little bit about
motivation.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there, we've got Ben Lecomte on with us today, and he's going to be doing the longest swim. It's going to start hopefully later this year, December of 2014, to learn more about his great accomplishment and what he's intending to do. Please go to www.thelongestswim.com. Ben, let's get to some action points here. How can people get involved when they start hearing your story and your story becomes something very viral, which I expect it to become? How can people and organizations get involved and support your mission of sustainability and getting the word out there that if we all make small differences, we can make big changes?
Yeah, I think there is two steps. The first step is that we are going to have a crowdfunding starting in the spring. And that will be paired with 8 to 10 different swims that I will do across North America.
Okay.
So to put the word out and to start some of the budget that we need for the longer swim. And then when the longer swim takes place, it will be live streamed. So we will interact, and people and my crew on board of the support boat will be able to interact on the daily basis with people on land. And we will have a platform that will allow people from different countries to bring their experience and to share a story on how they are making a difference at their local level that we can share with others. And we want to engage people to just think about what they do on a daily basis that can make a difference. For example, a lot of people, and we can see that across different countries, where recycling is much more important in one country than another. And why? Right now, everything is pretty much in little pockets where we don't know much what the other country and the other people are doing. I like this to use that opportunity to mix and to see what we can do and what we can adapt from the program that are successful on other country or other part of our country, and adapt it to different areas in the world. So, but it's a very organic way to approach the issue.
On the crowdfunding, Ben, how much money are you looking to raise, and how many sponsors are you looking for?
Well, the sky is the limit. We have the crowdfunding that will be put out in the spring. It's a $1 million crowdfunding.
Okay.
But you have to take in consideration is that, there is a crew member on the boat. You have a boat.
Sure.
You will have live streaming. It requires the amazing connectivity, and all that costs a lot of money to put together. And along with that, we also have sponsors that are going to take place, but we want to have a two-step approach with the crowdfunding to start a grassroots, because what is important is the people's involvement and communication and conversation that will take place throughout the event. It's not about finding sponsor, a corporate sponsor, and just swimming across with having a sign on the shoulder or name, on the cap. It's basically the involvement of people that is important to us.
How are you preparing if the swim is going to be starting later this year? How are you preparing physically, mentally, dietarily? How is that working?
Well, I've been preparing for that swim for the past 3 years. So it's working out 3 to 5 hours a day, and I do different type of workouts. It's running, bicycling, gainage, and also I do swimming, of course. And I eat it, I dream it, I sleep it. It is in my mind throughout the day. Always, when I am in the pool or when I am exercising, my thoughts are always about the swim and trying to visualize it and making it an internal journey.
Is the Atlantic harder to swim than the Pacific, or the Pacific harder to swim than the Atlantic? How do they compare as water bodies, and what are the differences in the swim that you're going to be facing and that you're thinking about?
The big difference is the distance. So the Atlantic, it was about 3,700 miles. The Pacific is 5,500. But as far as weather pattern or current, it's you can compare the both. They are pretty much the same. I will be swimming from the west to the east, because in the Atlantic, living from Boston, I caught up with the Gulf Stream, and in the Pacific, living from Tokyo, I will catch up the Kuroshio, which is a current that pushes a warm current that pushes toward the U.S. coast.
And you'll swim for how many blocks of time? What blocks of time do you swim, and then you get on the boat and eat a little something, sleep, and then go back in the water? What hours? How many hours a day? Like, what does a typical 24-hour cycle look like for you when you're swimming on this longest swim?
Yeah, well, the first thing I do when I wake up is basically eat because I have to consume between 8 to 10,000 calories per day,
Wow.
and I cannot take a lot of food while I am swimming. So first thing I do is eat, get ready, go in the water, and swim 8 hours. I stay there, and during those 8 hours, I only get liquid food every 20 to 30 minutes. And after I'm finished with that 8 hours, go back on the boat, and the first thing I do is eat again, and then sleep, wake up, eat again, and then after try to have a full night of sleep. And what happened very often is that I was so hungry that in the middle of the night, I had to wake up and eat again. And
Wow.
then when it comes the next morning, the boat will take us back to the position where I stopped
Mm.
my swim the previous day, and I will start back the swim there.
What kind of food, I mean, what kind of dietary restrictions or food do you eat that keeps your stomach calm but also fuels all the cells in your body to keep going? What are you eating and drinking to be the most efficient through your body so it doesn't upset any of your body while you're facing all the other external, challenges?
Yeah, that's a very good point because when you are swimming, so you are in the horizontal position for 8 hours, it doesn't help with the digestive system.
Right.
And I found out that I need to stay away from any type of food that is sweet.
Mm.
So I stay away from high glycemic index food and eat a lot of, if it's carb, it will be just complex carb, wheat-based product,
Mm.
and a lot of salty product and fat. Because also I try to keep my insulin level pretty much unchanged.
Mm.
When you take sugar and like even white bread, then your insulin level is going to shoot up. You are going to feel good. You are going to feel the sugar rush, but then after you are going to feel low once that sugar rush is over. I
Mm.
try to stay away from those roller coaster and level my insulin by just not taking any sugar, just focusing on high carbs and fat and protein.
Is the we're down to the last 2 minutes or so, but here's just a question from that sounds silly, but really, I'm for your sake, I'm worried. Are you worried about sharks or trash or any of that kind of stuff in your swim? Is that something that crosses your mind or your crew's mind?
Shark, that's their word, so it's not if, it's a matter of when. And I had a shark following me for 5 days in the Atlantic. So now you have different ways to deal with it. Of course, you have people looking over, you have sonar, but also you have device that you put in the water that
Oh,
creates a magnetic field. And sharks are very sensitive to magnetic field, so they stay away.
oh,
So
good.
you have different way to deal with that. But the other part of your question was about trash. So I'm going to cross the garbage patch,
Oh,
and during that time we'll do some measurement on how much trash we can see, how much trash we can collect, and to try to put and to basically show the world that whenever you don't recycle your product properly, it's not going to end up in your backyard, or the ultimate voyage of a piece of trash will be in the ocean because of
oh.
the water runoff. It goes into the river, and the river goes into the ocean, and all those are being collected in a big garbage patch. So what we do on land is very important to what we find in the ocean and how we affect the life of sea creatures.
Right.
So that's an important point that we want to address when we go there. That's why we will have the live streaming so
Right.
that we can bring content as we go along and engage people throughout the journey.
Perfect. Well, Ben, you've been an amazing guest. I want you to come back on after you've done the swim and talk all about it. But for our listeners out there, to support Ben and to become part of the process and become part of the solution and sponsor him, please go to www.thelongestswim.com. He's going to have a crowdfunding event this spring. And, you know, Ben, I agree, and I know our listeners will agree, that together we can make the world a better place, and you doing this swim is going to be further proof of that. You've swum yourself into all of our hearts today and our souls and are truly living proof that green is good.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.